All right, that was not supposed to be a stop in the video, but my dog went a little crazy. We had a package delivery, so sorry about that. So we were just finding the reference angle. So we're going to do 2 pi minus 7 pi over 4. Again, if you make that common denominators, this will be 8 pi over 4 minus 7 pi over 4, which is just pi over 4. And then pi over 4 is a 45-degree angle. So knowing that we're doing a 45-degree angle, so we have sine of 15 pi over 4. And we said sine is positive. 45 degrees, so if you go up here, 45 is the easiest one. It's my favorite because it's the same. Rad 2 over 2 for both sine and cosine. Sorry about the blurriness. So rad 2 over 2. Cosine of 15 pi over 4 is going to be a negative rad 2 over 2. And then tangent of 15 pi over 4 is going to be also negative. So let's see, it'll be sine, so rad 2 over 2 over rad 2 over 2. And this negative, I put it out in front, so it's the same negative. These are the same negative. The same thing on top will just cancel, and it's basically going to be a negative 1. So tangent of 15 pi over 4 will equal negative 1. Okay, just like before, sometimes we have radians that are not in a quadrant. That is like part D. So we're going to start the process the same way, where we want to find a coterminal angle that's in the 360 degrees of the circle. So 11 pi over 2 negative, we're going to add 2 pi. If I add 2 pi, so that's essentially like adding 4 pi over 2. So if I get rid of this, because I have common denominators, that's going to give me negative 7 pi over 2. Still negative though. It can't be negative. So we're going to add another 2 pi, which we know is the same as adding 4 pi over 2. I again still am left with a negative. We can't have a negative, so we're going to go one more time, add 2 pi, which is 4 pi over 2, and we finally end up with pi over 2. So you want to make sure, if you knew that this wasn't going to work, you could have just added 6 pi here and you would have gotten here faster. Okay, but if not, this works as well. Just do it until you get a positive. Cannot stay negative. So then let's graph this. So pi over 2 is here. We're basically talking about a point here. And again, we know that if we have a unit circle, that this distance is a 1. So I went over 0 and I went up 1. The first number is always my cosine. The second number is my sine. And then I can find tangent by doing the division. So I have sine of a negative 11 pi over 2 is going to be 1. So really no work on this one. I have cosine of negative 11 pi over 2 is going to be 0. And then tangent of negative 11 pi over 2 will be sine over cosine. But hopefully remember, this is not possible. 0 in the denominator is bad. Put it in your calculator. You get an error or an undefined. So our tangent value is going to actually be undefined. Okay. 0 on the top is okay. 0 on the denominator is not. We're going to go ahead to part 3.